What colors are least common in nature? Naturally occurring, yeah.
Okay.
And an answer a guy said was, "Don't you think that if it isn't found, then how can it exist? But nature is beautiful and mysterious." So let me explain scientific.
Mysterious?
Mysterious.
Mysterious. Oh God, it's a property.
So let me
It's a
explain.
property of nature. Mysterious.
Mysterious. So, I want to ask you a question. Uh, because like we've talked about this before, but you never really, we never really kind of got into this conversation a lot. I don't know if you're like comfortable talking about this or if it's just too spooky. Uh, but do you believe in ghosts?
That's a hard question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's as a man of science and logical thinking, I would have to say no, but also I've had some weird experiences, can't lie.
Yeah, it's always it's interesting how the brain, whenever there's something that we can't explain, we always turn to folklore and things like that. It's always like we have to explain, oh, maybe it's aliens, maybe it's a ghost. We always have to go to folklore. It seems like an intrinsic thing of our brains. I don't know. It's just strange. Because maybe we recognize it. We recognize patterns and we think, oh, maybe this is a ghost because it moves objects without me seeing it or something like that. I personally am kind of in the same boat. Like I also don't really.
Skeptical.
Yeah, like
I think that's the
I'm
word.
skeptical. Um, but then at the same time, there's like some things that just I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, well, ghosts would explain it. It's just weird. But yeah, but what experiences have you had like that are a bit spooky?
Um, it's how do I put this? Do you remember those old phones, like the first phones that had a camera? They look like this. Let me show you a picture of them. They were like very fucking weird.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Yeah,
I
they
haven't even
had
seen one of those.
okay, they had a camera in the back. It was like very rudimentary.
Uh-huh.
My
It's
mom had one of those.
okay, yeah.
They looked like this.
Oh,
So
that's like an unfoldable thing, right?
no.
Oh, it's
It's just,
not. It's just
no,
like
it's not.
a phone in the shape of a
Yes,
leaf. What is
yes.
this?
I don't know. Don't ask.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Technology was weird back then.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Nokia was weird.
yeah.
Um, so these were the first ones like have cameras and stuff where people could take photos. And
Oh, nice.
I remember one time I was at at a family house, very old house, and my mom, the phone was hers, and she was taking photos of me, my sister, the family and shit.
Hmm.
I remember that in one of those photos, there was it was me, my sister, and my cousin. I think we were all sitting on the couch. Um, and when you look through the photo in the phone, there was this translucid hand pointing at us. Um,
Damn.
it was not blurry. There was no motion blur. There was nothing. It was just
A hand.
there.
Wow.
Yes.
Kind of disembodied, kind of just
No, coming out from under the screen.
from under the screen.
Yeah, like it was sitting where my mom was, I guess,
What?
but it was just stopped. There was no motion blur. There was no nothing. It was just translucid.
Like an imprint or something.
Yeah,
Jesus, that's
I
weird. Because
to this
what's
day I can't explain it.
yeah, it's interesting because really old pictures. Sometimes you see like some like ghostly images because usually it was I'm not entirely sure what it was, but it was like the parts of a previous image kind of get embedded into the new image, something like that. But that only happened in like really old cameras. Like these new cameras, there's no reason why that should happen.
Right?
So it's weird. Yeah, that's very strange.
Very. Yeah, that's like my experience with it. Ever since that day, it's
It's
just
like,
I can't explain it. There was my
yeah.
brain can't comprehend. Like there was no motion blur. It just appeared to
Hmm.
be stopped and just not entirely there at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when I was like a kid, I used to talk a lot and like be a lot with this friend of mine. We were kind of like best friends. We don't really talk a lot now, but yeah, we talked a lot at this time, and he said that he had a lot of these kind of experiences of seeing ghostly figures, like at the ends of hallways and things like that, and he would just blink and they would disappear. Like he said, it was like shadow people. It's what people call shadow people or shadow figures. He said ones that had like tentacles and stuff. I found it like, damn, dude. I never, I don't think I ever saw these particular shadow people, or in this case, not people, things, I guess. But he truly believed that they were,
There,
yeah, that they were existed. Um, but I never really saw. I don't remember seeing, like, a
well,
ghost. Um,
for good, for better, for
yeah, for
better, for worse, for good or for better. What the fuck, whatever. Thankfully, you didn't, I
yeah,
guess, because if they are real, then you don't want to
yeah.
nothing of that. And if they're not real, that just means you're hallucinating, and that's also not good.
Yeah. So basically, I didn't really see a ghost, but there was. I remember one time there was also another thing that I just couldn't explain because there's this I have this really small like lamp, kind of like a torch light, kind of like a lamp, I guess.
Hmm.
And I used to have like it's really old. It's like I got it when I was like what 11 maybe, I don't know. I used it for some stop motion animations and stuff like that because it was like a really tiny light that it could point at things and it would just be very very focused. But that light just stopped working, like all lights do. They have a lifetime, and
Hmm.
it just it just went
Dead.
just yeah, it just died. But I kept it for some reason. I kept it like hanged up on like one of the shelves that I have on my room, and like 5 years after it died, because I just left it there like gathering dust and whatever. Uh, One night I go to sleep, go to bed, and I turn off all the lights. It's complete darkness, and mind you, the shelf is like 3 meters away from me. So in no way could my arm just have slipped and done something. Basically, I'm in bed and I think I had like the sheets over my eyes, and when I take the sheets for some reason, I think I peek through the sheets, and there's this light pointing at me, like directly at my eyes. This lamp that used to be dead for years
Suddenly comes back to
suddenly
life.
comes back alive, pointing at me,
Spoopy.
and I could how just how the battery was supposed to be dead for a very long time, and yet
Was it all also pointing at you the whole time?
I don't know. I can't remember if it was pointing at me like I don't know. I just know that it was in the shelf and I just placed it there. I don't think I
Because
pointed it at me.
you could have left it on and the battery for some reason. I mean, it's very hard for that to happen, but
It's very
even
hard.
if it
I mean,
was.
for years, for like
Mm.
5 years or something. It's very weird. I just yeah, but probably it was like probably the switch was on for some reason. But how did the battery turn back on? It just I can't explain that.
Because
And
if it
and
was turned on the entire time, it makes no sense for the battery to just suddenly
suddenly,
pop up
exactly,
back
because
alive.
because because when I turned off the lights, they were all off. It was complete darkness. So suddenly it just turns on and is I never could explain this. But it probably it has been been a very weird experience, but I think that was kind of like I don't think I've had a weirdo one so far.
Hopefully you won't have more. I mean,
Yeah.
just weird. But it's also good that there's still some mystery
Yeah.
in the world.
True. For some reason, like I woke up today, thinking about ghosts because I woke up like at 8 a.m. The sound of something like falling off, like a really loud banging, like something had just fallen off of my
Shelf?
not my shelf, but my like my table.
Hmm.
And then I go look, and everything's in place, and I'm like, what?
Well, maybe on some other part of your house.
But it was like next to me. It was my, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe it was something that fell and I just haven't like maybe behind.
Found it yet?
Maybe I don't know. But
Hmm.
nothing's missing, so I don't know. But I don't know.
Still
I
weird.
just yeah. It's just a lot. It's just there's a lot of weird things that happen and just like
And there's no explanation.
yeah.
It's just it.
Some of my like family members are like really superstitious, and it makes me a bit uncomfortable because like my logical thinking just says no. It's just
Not possible.
it just happens.
Total fabrication.
Yeah,
We made that one
exactly.
up.
Yeah. And so I've always been kind of in the skeptic side because of because I just never really found it like a good way of thinking. It's just like because for example I have a cousin of mine that is extremely superstitious. Like she was like reading once like reading the like tarot, um something like she was basically reading like the future of my brother.
Mhm.
They were like on the table, and she was like basically she was trying to like make sense of the reading that she was getting.
Mhm.
And now and but the readings were like so vague, and I was like, okay, but that works for like a lot of things.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
I think that's okay. I think that's the point of tarot, right?
It's vague so that you can fit in a lot of situations. That really makes sense.
Because you can all cards. I mean, at least major arcana represent a point of a person's journey through life, and
Something like
well,
that.
each of the other minor arcana you
No, I don't think Major Arcana is a point in
um
because like the
it
fool
is.
the
Yes, that's the first card.
no, but
We all start
the
as
fool is like it it has no real place. It kind of like travels something like it travels.
represents ignorance, the beginning of the journey.
I don't know, but it doesn't
Yeah,
end
I'm
with
pretty
death.
sure.
It ends with like the
Yeah, death
star.
is not the last card.
It ends with like the sun or something like that. Actually, I
Yeah,
don't know.
the rebirth.
I don't know. I'm not entirely
Well,
sure.
I can check.
But what does the tower represent? Is
It's
it
the world, dude. The world.
Zawarudo? Oh my god.
Death is 13, yes, and then you have
What does the devil represent?
devil is 15.
Adulthood?
I don't know. Pa, 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 pa. It's I think the devil is regarding it's a mirror of the lovers, the lovers
Hmm.
card,
Oh,
because it
yeah,
also
cause
has two people chained to it.
yeah, I never noticed that. But yeah, it's true. Maybe it represents lust. I don't know. I actually enjoy seeing some of that. I think it was BuzzFeed Unsolved that has like the ghost like the basically ghost hunting, and I actually really enjoy watching for some reason like because I've been like even though I'm a skeptic, I sometimes I like kind of just to see kind of the other side, like see I don't know, kind of it's kind of to me it's kind of like I guess watching a horror movie to me It's like
Hmm.
I watch it kind of more as fiction than.
Oh, you mean the? Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
For example, there's a channel, I think it's called Dark 5 or something like that, and sometimes I like to watch it. I don't believe in it, but I like, I like to watch it kind of like as a horror movie. Like, what if this was actually real? And I mean, technically, the question is exactly that: is this real? That's the question. Like, they're not giving a definite answer because that's what fear is. Fear is uncertainty. Um, but sometimes I like to see the explanations. For example, I think they had a thing which was 5 inventions that were lost, like 5 Nazi inventions that were lost in World War II or something like that. Like creepy inventions, like zombies and stuff like that. Uh, I remember one that I really liked, which was, I think it was 5 undefined or 5 like unknown objects orbiting Earth, something like that. There was one which is called the Black Knight. I think it was called the Black Knight satellite. And honestly, like I just found it so creepy and so fascinating at the same time. Even though I think people have actually identified it's part of like another ship which was like broken, like it's part of a satellite, like another artificial satellite that we sent, or part of like I don't know, an expedition to outer space for some reason. Some expedition, there was like they left some debris, I guess, and that's part of the debris. But when you look at it, the I think it's called the Black Knight. Let me just check.
Yeah, I am looking at it. I never
It
didn't know
looks
about it.
Black Knight satellite. It looks like an alien ship. It really does. And it's
But
like
it's not.
it's not. It's like a debris or something. But it does look like when you look at this picture, it does look like an alien ship, and it's like I
Well, just
wanted
from
that to be
one
real.
photo.
At the same time, that would be actually really creepy if it was real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more. I have this kind of thing which is like I don't believe in the things, but I like to pretend that I do, kind of.
I want to believe kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to believe. I guess.
I don't think I've ever had like uh, any weird sightings. I do remember watching a green meteorite going through Earth once, but it was really,
Wow.
really like a flash of green.
It's interesting because
I,
I think
I could
unlike.
swear I could almost
Sorry,
hear sound, but that doesn't make a lot of sense.
it doesn't. I mean, you could hear, but it would be very delayed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it was a flash of green that just
Damn.
popped in and out.
I think the largest I once saw with my brother, because when we were in the Azores, me and my brother would actually like sit atop of like a cistern,
Mm-hmm.
and we would watch the night sky
Meteor
because
showers, yeah.
yeah, the meteor showers, because in the Azores, specifically in Pico Island, we have extremely clear skies,
Yeah.
and basically no light pollution except for the moon. The moon is the only light pollution that you have.
Yeah, but
So
on new moon
exactly, on new
nights,
moon you can see pretty much everything in
you get
this.
to see like Milky Way.
Yeah, you get to see the Milky Way pretty
That's
well.
fucking beautiful. I can't die without seeing that.
Yeah. And we could see the meteor showers like really well because you can see like really tiny ones. But we once saw like one. I think it was like the biggest meteorite that I've ever seen. Because you could literally see it was like fear. It was like fire, like the color of fire, and you could see it like disintegrate. You know, like in the Transformers movie, when
Mm-hmm.
like it's exactly like that. It's just like it just breaks and shatters, and you see like these pieces of fire just flinging everywhere, and it's like it takes like 1 second.
It's so intense and so fast. If you
It's like
blink it, you miss it.
yeah, it's like it was like the biggest, but it was huge.
I imagine. I mean, I can only imagine.
Either it was huge or it was really close. I don't know, but
Probably huge.
yeah, like if it was if it was like small and that close, it probably would have landed like in the island, and it probably didn't. It was probably fell on the ocean. I don't know, but yeah,
Likely just burn through.
yeah, yeah, or likely just disintegrated. But yeah, it's interesting because like I'm the only. I feel a bit left out because I think I'm like the only member of my family who has not seen weird shit. Because no, I think my brother also hasn't seen it yet. My older brother hasn't had like one of these. But I think
Got like The Shining.
like weird lights or weird things in the sky moving or some kind of thing. Because I remember that my older sister, saw once saw like a big spherical sphere of light kind of hovering above the ground, like literally
Oh,
following a
like
path,
a will-o-wisp.
but huge, like 1 foot in radius, kind of that kind of thing.
Jesus.
And like it was like slowly hovering. She was like brushing her teeth in the backyard, and she saw this, and she went running to
Back inside.
yeah
Yeah, obviously, like as one would.
yeah um
Holy shit.
and then my other brother saw once saw like a giant like uh black triangle in the sky kind of moving really slowly. But yeah, it probably wasn't one of those what are those called, like
Black
the
triangle. A bomber?
yeah, it wasn't a bomber probably because it was too slow.
I mean,
Bombers and bombers probably would make a lot of sound because this one was silent, so it was like
I know I've been near fighter jets, and I know they're seen
extremely
them like, yeah, they're extremely loud.
yeah,
Like you,
so there was no sound, so
if one booms near you, holy shit.
you can lose your hearing, I think.
I mean, if it's too close, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But yeah, I've seen them do maneuvers and shit.
Hmm. I've seen one
They're really
actually. I've seen one like
loud.
over the Lisbon. I've seen one like do really weird. I think it was like a at a like a celebratory day of like the Air Force or
A
something like
military, yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Seen
Uh.
that in Albufeira, yeah, in
Hmm.
Algarve, yeah.
So yeah,
Never
and
seen, yeah, weird shit, no.
yeah,
Except for that photo.
yeah.
That's the only thing that makes me question my sanity at this point.
Yeah, when I'm awake, I don't really see anything outside of the ordinary.
When you're sleeping, though, that's an entirely different matter.
Yeah, when I'm sleeping, I don't know if it's because I have a lot of DMT in my brain or whatever it is, but like the dreams, the nightmares that I have, like I haven't been having a lot of weird ones because right now, like, unfortunately, my nightmares are getting a lot more realistic, I guess, in terms of people getting shot or killed or whatever. It's more realistic. It feels more like an action movie or like a thriller.
Oh, what the fuck?
It doesn't really feel like a horror movie. I mean, sometimes it does, but yeah, my nightmares. A lot of them include people getting chased. A lot of them include me getting chased by either the military or a gang or the mafia or
A military?
yeah, sometimes it's the military, literally. Like
Wow.
sometimes I'm like someone who's yeah, it's true. Like sometimes there are snipers after me. It's just insane. It's true. Like I've seen
Are you Jason Bourne now?
I don't know, probably. But
What if you're a sleeper agent and that's your trigger
a sleep agent.
now? Sleep agent.
I don't know.
When you dream, you actually are in
Oh my god, when you dream that
possession of
oh my god, that's such
yeah.
a great like if that's not like a plot of a movie, it should be. Cuz that's really
It
cool.
probably already is.
It probably already is, yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, I used to have a lot weirder dreams, like a lot of very like supernatural creatures that I've invented in my dreams. There was one which was I called them like when it was like I think it was my most complex nightmare I've ever had when I was like 11 probably. This nightmare was so big and so epic. It had like an overarching story. I'm gonna try to recall.
You've been through the green door, man.
I'm gonna try to recall everything that happened in this nightmare. So basically, I wake up because the best kinds of dreams are the ones where you think you're awake. So you think you woke up. It's the best way to keep that.
Start a dream, yeah.
Exactly. And when I woke up, I actually thought, like, when I woke up in the dream, I actually thought that I had woken up really. So I wake up. I actually wake up with a sound like a like a really loud kind of like a motor sound.
Whoosh.
Like
Okay.
like it
A
felt
bike or something.
kind of like a helicopter, but different. And I saw this kind of like shadow kind of going through my window. So I get up and I kind of look, and there's nothing special about it. But then I kind of start going down the stairs, and I look out of my window, and there's like this kind of, well, you could call it a flying saucer, um, like in the distance, like flying, like going around like the electricity things.
Uh-huh.
So there's a bunch of people in my house, a bunch of dead people. There's there's my grandma, there's my grandma, there's a bunch of people that are not alive, but they are alive in this dream.
Yeah.
And
It's your first indication that you're dreaming.
yeah, first weird thing. I mean, other than the flying saucer.
Except, yeah, except for the flying
Except
saucer,
for-
obviously.
Uh,
If, because you can still believe that.
maybe.
People coming back from the dead, that's a big no-no.
Yeah. So basically, I talk to people and they say that there's these kind of aliens that have invaded Earth.
Like a body snatchers kind of thing. Dead body snatchers.
And no. These dead people, they are like, they're alive for some
Just
reason.
chilling.
I don't
Just
know. Yeah,
chilling.
they're just chilling. Like literally, they're having like a party or something like that.
Vibing.
Except they're kind of protecting themselves from these aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, and the way that the logic behind this was that they wanted to conquer Earth, but they couldn't fit inside of, they couldn't like destroy, they couldn't destroy like houses or something, so people were kind of safe here. Um, so, or at least not yet. At least they were safe as of right now, but they couldn't get out. It was like a military, um, you know, warning. Nobody could get out. But I had like, you know, my friends were there, and so we kind of have this kind of adventure. But before I actually went back to my room to do so, to get something, and there's this flying saucer that passes right next to my window, and kind of I see it kind of like stop and kind of look inside, and you see that basically it's like this disc but with an eye in the center, and this like red, like glowing eye with like these kind of, it felt like electronic, this huge eye. And I the first thing that I did was like hide under the window, obviously, because it was the only place where the eye couldn't see me. And I remember kind of like seeing the shadow of the eye kind of looking, and this red light kind of being shown on like reflections of things, and then just kind of goes look somewhere else. And then I kind of have this like little adventure at night with my friends. We kind of like go crawling in the grass, kind of spying to see what the like. I mean, literally just ignoring the curfew, just kind of like going out and kind of spying on these weird flying creatures that are like have these kind of torch lights kind of shining on the ground, looking for victims. And then another friend of mine, she found this little alien, this like big-brained small alien, and she says, "Hey, look what I found." And then I try to talk to the alien, and I realize that the alien speaks in backwards Greek. So I
Oh
go
my
grab.
god, what?
I know. The kid me was a weird guy. So I basically grabbed this. I for some reason had a Greek to Portuguese
Translator?
dictionary. So I had
Okay.
to speak to him. I had to translate to Greek and then speak backwards the thing.
Mhm.
and then I had to understand him speaking backwards to me to then
Didn't you
translate.
summon no demon or something?
No, I didn't. But basically, we had like a little conversation, and I realized that these aliens, which were supposedly controlling the big flying saucers, they actually were kind of innocent, and they just wanted like a human to experiment on. And so I'm like, so basically, we kind of give one of my friends as as like an experiment
Wow.
subject, and we save the world. And then
But at what cost?
yeah, we have to sacrifice. But actually, I didn't. What's funny is that it was like one of the friends that I really didn't wasn't really like. I didn't really like the guy at the time, so that's why we decided to sacrifice him.
Wow.
And at the end,
That's
we just see like these flying saucers like going out into space, and him screaming like, "No, help me!" So yeah.
what a great friend.
Oh my goodness. It was very weird. But yeah, that was the most detailed nightmare that I've ever. It's not even a nightmare, it's like, I don't know, it's just a mini adventure dream. But yeah, it was the most detailed dream I've had.
I've had some recurring weird dreams where the first time I dream about the scene, there wasn't usually anything bad. For example, it doesn't matter what was happening, I would always get a way out and I would always like overcome whatever it was.
Mm.
But then the same dream would return like a week later or something, and it was like, imagine you're playing a video game and you're playing on normal mode,
Oh,
and the second time you play it, you want to play it harder, so you play hard mode.
damn. So basically,
But imagine,
each time that you dream, it gets more complicated.
yeah, to the point where if I try to open my eyes, I would just be denied access to waking up.
What?
Like, I don't know. I
Sleep
try
paralysis?
to, I guess something like that. I would just try to open my eyes and like I would get like a message saying like, no, you can do it. Like
A
imagine
me
Professor
a message.
Professor Oak, Professor Oak saying like,
What?
there's a time and place for everything, you know, and waking up is not an option right now.
Oh my goodness. Like, you mean an actual message, like text?
Yes, someone would show up. No, what I mean to
Oh.
say is like some like
Oh my
whatever
goodness.
it was I was dreaming,
Literally like a
it would be
game. Okay, well.
interrupted,
Wow.
and like a person would show up saying you cannot wake up right now.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it was really scary.
I read somewhere that there's people that have reported, like, the sleep paralysis demons, which is basically like things that you see when your body still thinks that you're asleep, but
Mm-hmm.
your eyes are open. And I've basically read somewhere that that happens because you still have DMT in your brain, and that drug is projecting your dreams into the real world. So literally,
Oh yes, I'm aware of, you know,
that is
this I
so
studied a bit of
creepy.
biochemistry, so I know a little about the molecule because I've actually
Hmm.
watched some documentaries on it and people talking about it, and it's really fucking interesting. How it's not even considered a hallucinogenic drug, is it's like a step above it.
Yeah, it's worse.
People that try it, like they think they've been out for weeks and they've been tripping for like 15 minutes. It's so intense.
Hmm.
You're taken to a completely different level than
Yeah.
you usually do on another drug of
Hmm.
that
Yeah, but
same
that's basically
kind.
basically what happens when you're dreaming. You are
Yeah,
basically tripping.
you lose like complete conscious. It's insane.
Hmm. But yeah, it's interesting because what happens with me dreaming is I usually write down pretty much everything that I dream,
Yeah,
everything
dream
that I
journal.
find,
Yeah, that's really
everything
cool.
that I find like interesting. Because if it's a dream like, oh, I went to the grocery store and the bananas were like €1,000,000.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
It's
whatever. I'm not. And by the way, I've actually had a lot of dreams like this. Like literally, I've had a lot of dreams. Like the most common dreams right now is I go buy something and that thing is extremely expensive, and I'm like, wait, but I don't have money.
Yeah, that usually it's not the way it should be.
It's
I always
interesting.
remember that joke from Big Bang Theory where Sheldon says that he dreamed I was a giant, but everything was up to scale. So people ask him, then how'd you know you were a giant? Well, my pants were size a million. And you think that that's joking, and yeah, it is a joke, but still, if you notice these kinds of things while you're awake,
Hmm.
you will definitely do the same while you're asleep, and you'll know, wait, this cannot be. I'm sleeping.
Yeah, because
And
what's
then you get to a point where you'll be able to understand you're sleeping and not wake up, so you get
hmm
like full control of your dream.
oh, I have yet to get to that point. Because like normally when I get control of my dream, I just wake up. It's just really hard to
Because you get very anxious. Yeah, it's I've tried
like
it too, and I also always
sometimes
wake up as well.
sometimes I can get control of my body, like my actions, because usually I don't. Like usually I don't like a dream kind of like follows a linear path and I can't really do something else. But usually when I do that and when I get like control of my body inside of the dream, it feels like I'm not actually in control of the environment. It feels like there's that wall there. I can't penetrate it. I can't open this door because it's locked. It feels like there's these constraints that are outside of my control, even if I control sort of the dream. It's very weird.
Hmm.
I can't just suddenly gain
Then you
wings.
just think you have control,
Maybe I don't know, but like I
not
know,
yet fully controlled.
but like I know that
It
I'm
takes
dreaming.
a lot of
The
practice.
thing is,
Yeah, that's just step one.
like I know I'm
That's step.
dreaming, and I can control my thoughts. Like I know, okay, this is a dream, this is not real. I'm just gonna get out of here. I'm just gonna open this door, and then oh crap, the door is locked. Shit. It happens basically like that. It's very weird.
Well, with just a bit of practice, you'll be able to
Maybe.
get it, I guess.
Yeah.
And now that you have an Android, you can download the Woken, which is an app. Like we're not sponsored by them, by the way. It's an app that has like it has a dream journal built in, and then it has an
Oh,
alarm clock that you can set to play during the day, so you can make like a reality check on yourself to know that you're sleeping.
that's
So
interesting.
at night it will play the same sound, so that if you're sleeping or dreaming by the time it rings,
Mm-hmm.
you will perform, at least try to perform the same check on you, because you'll hear the ring and you'll remember, it's time for my check.
So wait,
And if it doesn't match,
so
you're
it
sleeping.
rings so it rings once during the
No, it
day.
rings during the day, like several times, as much as you want it to, actually.
Oh, so that in the dream, if you get used to it ringing, it's gonna ring
Exactly.
in the dream as well because it's reality. If it's reality,
Hmm.
of course, because sometimes, usually, like,
I had two ways of doing it. I would either look at my tattoos, like the ones I have on my wrist,
mm,
and if they were the same, well, that doesn't really count for much. But usually they were in the wrong place, or they had like it was a different tattoo. It was not my tattoo.
I think one thing that I used to do was like I
And license plates. I used to look at license plates.
oh yeah, license plates. That's a thing. The clock is interesting. Like if I
Hmm.
see like if I'm in a dream and if I look at a clock, usually the clock is like it either doesn't show a time, which is interesting. Like
Where
it
the hands are spinning really fast.
or yeah, or the hands are spinning like faster than normal, or it's just stop. Like
Stopped.
it doesn't tick. So when it's one of those three things, immediately know I'm dreaming. Or I think sounds like if I try to snap my fingers, and if the sound is like a little muffled or something, or if I kick something, and that thing just doesn't behave normally, like it doesn't follow physics like it should.
It either breaks your foot or starts floating.
Yeah, sometimes it just literally starts floating, or it just like falls in slow motion or something like that. It's just really, yeah, it's just dreams do weird things, and you can tell. It's very interesting because like if you don't notice, it feels real. It's when you notice the mistakes in your own in your
Hmm.
own mind, your own imperfections. It's almost
Reality is
like,
so subjective, huh?
yeah, it's like basically you are trying to fool yourself into
Oh, this
believing.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like it's like your brain. It's like two people. It's like a story, like someone telling a story to you, except that person is you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are trying
Your
to
subconscious is telling your conscious mind that this makes sense and you have to believe it, and that's it.
yeah, or not, or you could be
Mm-hmm.
that person that pokes holes in the other person's story, except it's your own story. It's so weird. But I really love the subconscious. I think it's like something that I want to explore
You know what I
more.
love more than that?
What?
Our sidetracks.